evening, everybody. So, just as a reminder, the program is not in paper, the program's digital, and so that's accessible by the QR codes that are on the poster boards. So, as should be apparent, our ceremony is about to begin. So, if we could silence our cell phones and just take a moment to look for the emergency exits. If there is an emergency, just walk to the nearest exit, leave the building, and then walk directly across the university green. So at this time, I ask you to please stand to welcome the dais party and graduating students to the ceremony. Thank you.
Colors. Present arms. Order arms. Recover.
Please be seated. Good evening, graduates, parents, families, friends, and guests. Welcome to the School of Diplomacy and International Relations graduate commencement and hooding ceremony. I'm Professor Martin Edwards, and I'm serving as our MC for this evening. It's my understanding JC couldn't make it, so I'm a last-minute sub. Presiding over today's ceremony are the faculty administrators of the School of Diplomacy who have guided our class through their time at Seton Hall. We're also privileged to have with us our keynote speaker, Professor Katie Striffolino. At this time, I welcome Associate Professor and Director of the Center for UN and Global Governance Studies, Father Brian Muzas, to lead us in prayer.
Let us place ourselves in a spirit of prayer. O God, the human family calls you by different names and invokes you in varied ways. I shall address you in the Catholic manner. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, the prophets you sent forth were the world's first ambassadors, and you inspired them to make known your message of salvation and redemption, of peace and justice. Your prophet Isaiah heard your voice when you called, "Whom shall I send?" Isaiah responded, "Here I am, Lord, send me." And so the prophet Isaiah became both servant and leader, sent to speak your word and to accomplish your will. May we be mindful that you always seek servant leaders to speak your words of comfort to the poor, of freedom to those imprisoned, of peace to those who suffer injustice. Lord, you know the longings of our hearts. In your goodness, watch over these graduates as they look forward to careers in diplomacy, business, law, and international relations. Keep them mindful of the dignity of every human being, for we have been made in your divine image. In your kindness, bless our faculty and administrators, and the friends and families of these men and women. May we be grateful today and every day for the sacrifices they made to bring them to this day. In your faithfulness, bless all of us, so that when you call, "Whom shall I send?" we too might answer, "Here we are, Lord, send us," the world's newest ambassadors, the world's freshest diplomats, the world's most eager negotiators, scholars, analysts, and advocates. Therefore, we ask that you bless our graduates as they go forth, that they may speak and act with your truth, justice, and love, for you are gracious and merciful, God forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father Brian. It's my pleasure to introduce our Dean, Dr. Courtney Smith. The faculty are thrilled to have Dean Smith in this role as one of our founding faculty members. And anyone who's met Dean Smith knows that he is a ferocious champion of our students and our alumni, encouraging our students to lead and empowering them to start new initiatives. In his deep care for each individual student's success and well-being, he epitomizes one of the very reasons you chose Seton Hall, and he will continue to be one of your biggest cheerleaders as you move forward in your career. So please join me in welcoming Dean Smith to the podium to share some words of wisdom.
Thank you, Dean Edwards, for the wonderful, nice introductory remarks, I kind of wonder who he was talking about through part of it. But in any case, good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to the ceremony, and I want to be the first of many to congratulate the 2026 class from the School of Diplomacy graduate program. I also want to welcome my colleagues on the faculty and staff of the school who have guided our students through their studies. I also want to thank the family and friends in the audience for all the support that you've provided to the students during their education. I'd also like to recognize Associate Provost for Academic and Graduate Affairs, Dr. Chris Cuccia, and thank him for being with us this evening. And finally, a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Catherine Striffolino, who comes to us through the network of Professor Huddleston when he was in Washington, D.C., working on a Council on Foreign Relations fellowship with Senator Booker last year. And note to the graduating students, this will not be the first time tonight that you hear about the importance of networking, okay? All right, so every year I'm on the lookout for some little tidbit of wisdom to anchor my remarks. This year it came to me when I was in Lomé, which is the capital of Togo on the west coast of Africa. I was there in January as part of a delegation of members of the U.S. Congress, and we were there to learn about the work that the United Nations was doing in both Ghana and Togo to promote social and economic development, to improve health and nutrition, to prevent gender-based violence, and to work on protecting the environment. This was a trip that was sponsored by the United Nations Foundation. That might be in the news to you recently because of Ted Turner's passing. He founded the UN Foundation with some of the money from his creation of CNN. And the other sponsor was the Eleanor Crook Foundation. And the goal of these two foundations was to expose members of Congress to the work that the UN and its related agencies are doing in the field, so that way they would be more likely to fund those initiatives and see the impact of those initiatives. The UN actually has a presence in almost every country around the world. It's something that sometimes as Americans we're not aware of, but the UN presence is around the world. In every country, the UN mission is headed by somebody called the resident coordinator. And as the name implies, this person's job is to coordinate the work of a lot of different agencies, programs, and funds. In the case of Ghana, they're coordinating 19 different agencies, programs, and funds. In the case of Togo, it's 12. So a lot of action going on in the country. When Togo, in Lomé, we were meeting with the head of the United Nations Development Program there. And it was an event at the university in the capital city. And partway through his introductory remarks, he said this. He said, if you do not take care of the youth, they will take care of you. If you do not take care of the youth, they will take care of you. He did not mean this in a positive way. Okay, it was a threat, a risk, a danger, okay? If you don't provide opportunities for the youth, young people, they'll become angry, they'll become frustrated, they'll remove you from office or worse, okay? He then went on to talk about the importance of education and the impact of the innovation hub that we were there to see. That was an initiative of UNDP and the Togolese government. He firmly believed that knowledge and skills, the more of those that we impart to students, the better off that they will be to have satisfying lives, to be productive members of society, and not become the destabilizing forces that we see so often in the world today. So then he went a step further and he said, the more that we take care of the youth, the more they will take care of us. Now putting a positive spin on it. The more we take care of youth, the more they will take care of us. I agree with him 100%. But for both bad and good reasons. And I'm going to start with the negative reason, okay? Like many of you, I'm a news junkie, okay? I begin my day by reading and thinking about the news. I end my day reading and thinking about the news. Part of me looks forward to doing this every day. Part of me dreads this every day. Every time I'm listening to the news, I find myself looking for moments of hope in a sea of violence, polarization, oppression, wrought by people against people and people against planet. At one point, I thought about trying to list many of these challenges faced by the international community, but then I decided that you probably did not want a welcome that was longer than the entire ceremony should be. So suffice it to say, the list of challenges that we face as a global humanity is quite long, and my generation is going to leave a lot of work left to be done. So we have no choice but to believe that the youth, the graduates sitting in front of us in the fancy regalia in the first couple rows are the ones who are going to be taking care of us by finishing the work that we failed to do. Okay? So that's one reason I agree with him. The more positive reason why I agreed with that UNDP rep is because places like the Innovation Hub that he was so proud of, and places like the School of Diplomacy that we are so proud of, are providing the next generation with the tools, knowledge, and skills that you will need to make society a better place for all of us. But just giving you those tools doesn't in and of itself make it easy to use them. That scope of problems, as I mentioned ago, that we face is really long, overwhelming, and the list just seems to grow day by day by day. So here is where the advice I offered you during the toast, at the end of the toast we did next door, is most relevant. So next door, a little while ago, I told the graduating students about a comment that was told to me almost 15 years ago by a man named Jan Eliasson. At the time, he was the Deputy Secretary General, which is the number 2 person at the UN. And I was interviewing him about the role of youth, and he said this to me. He said, "It's important to remember that nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something." Okay? Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. So what Eliasson envisions is solving big challenges through small steps. He's urging us not to spend so much time thinking about doing everything and what's wrong with the world that we lose sight of the capacity that each of us has to do good, to contribute to solutions that take care of each of us one at a time. Tonight, we celebrate the fact that you has used your time in our program to build your knowledge and skills so that you have more tools to do this, so that you can do more than you could when you arrived. Okay? The more that you remember this and act on this moving forward, the better our local, national, and global communities will be. That's the key. This mindset will also prepare you well for your future careers. And note that I use the word careers, not jobs. We all know that your careers will evolve through a series of jobs, perhaps all with the same employer, perhaps with multiple employers. Some of you joined us back on May 1st when we had the student and alumni networking event, and you saw this firsthand. We had 12 alumni on various panels from all different kinds of career sectors, and 10 of the 12 had switched roles. Okay? The 2 that had been at the same organization throughout their entire careers had worked in multiple countries. So every single one of them had shifted. And the one thing, the common theme that they shared was the philosophy that each time their role shifted, it presented a fresh opportunity for them to think about doing something that was meaningful and fulfilled them with a sense of purpose. Okay? I want you to remember that as you see your careers unfolding moving forward. So I congratulate you once again on achieving this milestone, and I wish you all the best as you continue professional journeys. I speak for all of my colleagues on the stage who've had you in class when I say that we see a lot of graduates in this room that we're proud to have taken care of us in the future, because we are prepared to see something great from each and every one of you. So thank you, and go Pirates.
Thank you, Dean Smith. Today we graduate students from across the nation and representing many countries. Our graduates have completed outstanding work in the classroom, they have excelled in professional internships and fellowships, and they've dedicated their time to campus and community activities. At this time, we acknowledge 3 students who have achieved the highest in academic excellence. Dr. Phil Moorman, professor and faculty chair, will present the awards for academic excellence. Dean Smith, please join for a picture with our awardees.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. And it's now my pleasure to introduce the award winners. Will Collins Smith, Sarah Dimicino, and Nikki Schultz, please come to the podium. You can just stand in the center over there. I'm going to introduce them and present their awards to them one by one. Please feel free to applaud each one. None of this holding your applause to the end stuff, that's no fun. I'm going to start with Colin Smith. He received his BA in political science from Rutgers University, graduating summa cum laude. During his time at Rutgers, he received the 1876 award and the Henry Rutgers Scholar Award for his senior thesis, which was written for the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. He was also recognized as a Paul Robeson Scholar and was inducted into the Pi Sigma Alpha and Phi Beta Kappa honor societies. At Seton Hall, Colin worked alongside Dr. Valeriano and Dr. Huddleston as a graduate research assistant for the school's Diplo Lab program and served as a researcher and team leader for the National Security Fellowship, where he completed and presented research to the Department of Defense, the Department of State, the Indo-Pacific Command Leadership, and U.S. Army Japan intelligence staff. Next is Sarah DiMicino. Sarah received her undergraduate degree in English with a minor in music from Montclair State University in 2018. Her interest in international affairs stems from the 5 years she spent in Europe as a piano technician with Steinway in Madrid, where she learned Spanish, tuned pianos in several countries, and became an Italian citizen. During her master's degree at Seton Hall, Sarah specialized in foreign policy analysis and international security, and she was selected as a 2025 Rosenthal Fellow at the U.S. Treasurer's Office of International Affairs, which is quite a competitive honor. She also worked with us as a graduate assistant, helping with internship placements and making a valuable contribution to the school's operations. Sarah? All right, last but not least is Nikki Schultz. Nikki completed her undergraduate degree with high honors in government in 2022 at Smith College. During her time at Smith, she was president of the Smith College Debate Society and won the Andrew C. Slater Award for Excellence in Debate. She also became a member of the Pi Sigma Alpha National Political Science Honor Society and presented her undergraduate research on, her thesis on EU common asylum policies at the 2022 Pi Sigma Alpha National Undergraduate Research Conference. Here at the School of Diplomacy, she specialized in foreign policy analysis and post-conflict reconstruction. While completing her master's program, Nikki also worked full-time as head paralegal at a complex commercial litigation firm. And while doing all that, she served as editor-in-chief of the Journal of Diplomacy and International Relations for 2 years, playing a leadership role in reestablishing the journal. And since I was journal advisor, I really appreciated her and all of her work. Nikki. Thank you all. Please now join me in a round of applause for all 3 award winners.
Excuse me. Thank you very much.
Okay. I'm honored to introduce our keynote speaker for tonight, Professor Katie Striffolino. She teaches at the U.S. Foreign Affairs Institute and has held leadership positions in numerous civil society organizations in the humanitarian space. She has lived and worked in, pausing for a breath, New York, Washington, London, Brussels, and Geneva, and in the field in Syria, Jordan, Myanmar, Afghanistan, Iraq, Mexico, Colombia, Haiti, Sudan, and Kenya. Please welcome tonight's keynote speaker, Katie Striffolino.
Good evening. Thank you, Dean Smith, and congratulations also on your appointment as president of the Academic Council on the UN system. Thank you also to Professor Huddleston. It's been great to reconnect with you after your time with Senator Booker's office. And thank you to the faculty and families that are gathered here today. To the class of 2026, congratulations. It feels really, It feels really special for me to be here today to spend some time with you all. This is a real accomplishment. Be proud of yourselves and your classmates and really ride this feeling for as long as you possibly can. Moments like these are really what sustain us in a very difficult time in this world. So I want to start with something very direct because I think you've earned directness more than you have earned a pep talk. About 14 months ago, I had a job in this field, specifically the humanitarian sector, that really no longer exists. I was at Mercy Corps. I was their global director of humanitarian policy on a team I built and I was super proud of. About half of Mercy Corps' funding came from the US government, and about half of that funding disappeared. So did my role, and so did half of Mercy Corps' workforce around the world. And I'm not an anomaly. The unlawful, systematic dismantling of USAID by the Trump administration produced massive staff cuts across the entire sector. Within weeks, the program participants and communities who relied on US humanitarian aid for food, for medicine, water, education, protection, had nothing. People started to die. Children and those most vulnerable were hit the hardest. Now, I'm telling you this first because I want you to know exactly who's talking to you tonight. I am not an alumni of this school, and I'm not here to tell you everything is going to be fine. None of us know. None of us have a crystal ball. But I am here as someone who's sitting in the same uncertainty as you all. I'm just about a year ahead of you. Some of you are going to graduate today and walk into roles that look like the ones you imagined when you applied to this program. A lot of you are not. The career path you studied for is being reconfigured in real time. And nobody, not me, not your professors, not the people who used to write the strategic plans for the institutions you came here to serve, nor the communities in desperate need of life-saving support, knows exactly what it looks like on the other side. So here's what I want to say to you tonight. I'll spend the next 15 minutes saying it as clearly as I possibly can. You are part of a bridge generation. This is not a burden. It's a gift. It's your inheritance and your assignment. And let me tell you what I think that means. So what's actually happening? Let me start with what's true. The international development and humanitarian sector is not collapsing. It's forcibly reconfiguring. Those are different things. And the difference matters for what you do on a Monday morning. Here is what reconfiguring looks like from the inside. About a year ago, the call I was dreading came. I had to phone partners that we were working with and had worked with for decades and tell them that programs we had committed to as an organization were ending immediately. Not winding down. I'll spare you some of the additional details, but I will tell you this. Displaced families, those programs, the people that they served, those people did not stop getting displaced. when the funding stopped. The need did not certainly go away. The infrastructure for meeting the need did. You already know the abstract. You've read about USAID, I'm sure. You've watched what happened to a number of your own alumni, people who spent decades building careers in agencies and offices that no longer exist, or they do not exist in the way they did 6 months, 12 months, 14, 15 months ago. And so you don't need me to brief you on the news. I think we all are news junkies, as Dean Smith said. But underneath the news, 3 things are really happening at once. The first is fragmentation. The big institutions are smaller, slower, or gone. Smaller, more nimble organizations are being asked to do the work that used to require an apparatus 10 times their size. National and community-based organizations are finally being asked to lead the work that has always been theirs to lead. Some of what the big institutions did was simply overhead. Some of it was irreplaceable, and telling the difference between the two is going to be one of the central jobs of your class and your generation, regardless of which subspecialty or kind of which area you choose to go into. The second is private capital, filling some of the gaps. And we're seeing this play out in a lot of different conflict contexts around the world. This brings new resources. It also brings new distortions. Money that used to come with a 30-year commitment to a country now comes with a 3-year horizon and a completely different set of expectations. You will need to be fluent in both languages, the old grammar of public sector aid and the new grammar of philanthropic capital and impact investment, because the work is happening in the seam between both of them. The third is honestly what keeps me up at night and what I worry about the most. The way this field specifically gets things done, it's shifting from a principled approach to a transactional one. Humanitarian access, the ability to deliver assistance in places where authorities would rather we didn't, or would rather we did so on their own terms, have always rested on a set of principles enshrined in international law. Humanity, independence, neutrality, do no harm. As humanitarians, we don't choose sides. We don't condition aid on political or security compliance. We do not deliver on terms that violate the rights of the people we are trying to serve. Those principles are not principles that are just up kind of in space with no practical effect. They're not abstractions. They are the operating system of humanitarian work. They're what makes it possible for me and so many of my colleagues to walk into a conflict zone and not be perceived or treated as a combatant. And here's the thing about principles like those. They only hold when everyone holds them together. If one organization breaks from the collective, quietly accepting a demand that crosses a line, or publicly taking a position that undercuts others, the authorities at that field level and at the global level start to expect the same of everyone else. The standard moves. The next organization that tries to hold the line is now an outlier, not the rule. And once that line moves, from experience, I can tell you it's incredibly hard to walk back, if not impossible. Let me give you an example from Afghanistan. I worked there starting in 2019 around the margins of the US withdrawal of force, on specifically the legal frameworks that govern how humanitarian organizations can operate. When the Taliban took over in August 2021, they postured for global acceptance, public commitments to humanitarian principles, to women's rights, to welcoming foreign aid. Behind the scenes, however, there was a systematic dismantling of the safeguards needed to principally operate in Afghanistan, and in line with international law across the entire country. And this is a pattern some of us recognized again in a very different context just a few years later. So the most acute consequence in Afghanistan was this. Women and girls who needed urgent medical care, for example, in a context where culturally only female providers could treat female community members. And then the Taliban had made it unlawful for women to work or even eventually be outside of the home. The NGO community collectively agreed to not operate in areas of Afghanistan where we were prohibited from allowing our female staff to work and work in an unfettered manner. At the same time, very localized, very private negotiations were happening across the country in different pockets between NGOs and the local authorities, the Taliban authorities. And if you know anything about the Taliban, they're not really great at coordination. So sometimes you can get a lot of stuff done very quietly. And we were succeeding. We were brokering local negotiations and reaching agreements, and the local authorities were like, okay, we see your value. Please come in. Our women do need to be cared for. And everyone agreed to keep a low profile, right? Private. We're not going to go public because that could potentially blow up our entire scheme. However, then one high-profile NGO CEO flew to Kabul, held a press conference, and announced that his organization was refusing to operate without female staff. He was technically correct. He was also outside of the collective. So what happened was senior Taliban officials in Kabul learned that the local agreements were happening underneath them. They cracked down nationally. For a period, no women were allowed to provide humanitarian aid at all. And that was across the country, so that was a nationwide decree. That's what happens when one organization kind of breaks out of the collective and the cost of such. The principled approach to this work is one of the most valuable and one of the most fragile things this field has built. The institutions that used to help hold the line are under pressure right now in ways they have never been, which means more of that pressure is going to land on you. Wherever you go from here, sooner probably than it should. Telling you this not to depress you, but just to be honest with you. And here's the part that I think gets buried in all of the doom and the gloom of kind of the headlines today. The work matters more when the institutions matter less. The need certainly did not retire when the funding did. The people who built this profession built it for a world that is coming apart. The people who will build what replaces it are graduating tonight. That is not a metaphor, that is math. So why are you the bridge? Which brings me to what I really want you to most hear tonight. You are a bridge generation, as I think Dean Smith also referenced. And every generation in this field has been a bridge in some way. Yours is bridging a world that's coming apart that has not yet then been built yet. This is a particular kind of assignment, and you carry three things into it that the cohort behind you will not be able to carry the same way forward. So let me tell you what they are. One, institutional knowledge. You studied this field while its institutions still existed at scale. You read the studies in classrooms that reference them as living systems. You know the names of agencies and offices and programs that, frankly, I don't think the next cohort's going to be encountering. They really will only be encountering them as historical references. This is really going to matter more than you think. Right now, in real time, data sets are being taken offline. Public health repositories, government archives, studies that took 20, 30 years to complete, wiped from the internet. Some of it is being saved by some very determined colleagues, and just some of it is not. And you really may be the last cohort to study this field with the receipts intact. That gives you an obligation. Be the librarians of what's being erased. Cite it, teach it, mentor the cohort behind you in what was true and what was learned. The history of this profession is being rewritten in real time, and the people in this room are witnesses, and witnesses do have responsibilities. We need to know where we have been to know where we are going or could be going, and this really is yours to carry. Number two, technological fluency. I know every generation thinks the next one is the technological one, But the cohort sitting in front of me is in a particular position. You are not Gen Alpha who will grow up with these tools as native infrastructure. You are not the senior generation that came up filing cabinets. You sit in the seam. You are fluent enough to build the tools that you have studied and enough substance, enough to know what those tools should do. Most career humanitarians, for example, can't code. Most engineers cannot tell you what a refugee response actually looks like. You are both. That is rarer than you think, trust me. In the next 10 years, it's going to need you all more than ever before. I will tell you only half-jokingly that one of the most useful things people in your generation are doing right now is providing technical support to my generation and to your parents' generation, and to the cohort coming up behind you as well, and all at the same time. You are the cohort, however, that knows how to translate between the tool set and the work. And that is going to be one of the most important translation jobs in this field for beyond the next decade. Number 3, lived proximity. I look out at the room tonight, and I know that some of you may be veterans. Some of you may have families in places that this profession works. Some of you may be here on visas that you fought incredibly hard to keep. Some of you may be first-generation Americans whose parents' stories made you want to do this work in the first place. You learned alongside each other in classrooms that I suspect were sometimes uncomfortable in productive ways. A quick aside, learning to be comfortable in the uncomfortable in this new environment, that's going to serve you for the rest of your life, so do focus on developing that skill. Diversity and localized understanding is the field's most under-leveraged asset, really is. The big institutions spent decades trying to manufacture a sort of thing that you now have arrived within. Localization is happening because it has to, but you all are already local somewhere. In the summer of 2024, I was in Kassala in eastern Sudan visiting an informal displacement site. There was no water available at all. People were drinking and bathing in contaminated river water. Children had constant watery diarrhea and skin sores. These were the worst, probably some of the worst in terms of children and malnourishment and access to basic services that I've seen throughout my career. A mother I spoke with had given birth about 2 weeks before I met her, while she was being displaced in a truck, fleeing from her hometown that was experiencing conflict. She could not breastfeed her infant, her 2-week-old infant, because she herself was malnourished, and so many mothers told me the same thing. The international response in Sudan, as some of you may know, it's centralized in Port Sudan, hundreds and hundreds of miles from where this worst suffering is. The local staff, however, they know the water's contaminated. The nurses know which mothers need urgent care. The mutual aid networks they know who hasn't eaten. And they receive less than 2 cents of every aid dollar that comes into the country. This is what proximity costs when it's missing. Bridge generations do not get to choose whether to be bridges. My generation was the bridge between life before social media and life with it. AI is to your generation what social media was to mine. What you carry, what you have studied, what you can build, and who you already are, that is the bridge. Now, 4 things to take with you. I promised your faculty I would give you something practical because I have been told accurately that nobody graduating in this room is in the mood for pure inspiration tonight. But before I give you the 4 things, let me tell you about an email that landed in my inbox yesterday. It was the confirmation of a consultancy with Plan International to conduct a study and develop practical guidance for global and country actors on humanitarian diplomacy for child protection outcomes. Exactly the intersection of principled work and practical questions I just spent 10 minutes describing. The kind of engagement I most want to be doing now. I had been working toward that engagement for months across so many rejections, being ghosted, having false starts, and then yesterday morning, the email came. And I'm telling you this because in a moment when the job market in this field looks the way it does, my message to you is keep applying, keep showing up. Persistence and hustle are very strong qualities. When I run performance reviews on my own team, persistence is one of the areas that I do look for, because quite frankly, it's one of the qualities I can't teach. And it's also one of the most reliable predictors of who is still doing this work in 10 years. So with that in mind, here are those 4 things, just 4. Pick a question, not a job title. Job titles are evaporating. Questions endure. What does protection actually look like in a sanctioned economy? How do diasporas move money when the formal channels close? What does community-led recovery look like when the donor map redraws every 18 months? A good question carries you across 5 roles, 6 roles, 7 roles. A job title could carry you to the next layoff. So pick the question you simply can't get out of your head and you can't put down. And let it inspire and move you through organizations and institutions across sectors and continents. The question is the through line of a career in a field this volatile. Number 2, build your network like it's infrastructure. And I'm sure you're hearing that quite a lot. And it's absolutely true. And this, what I mean by this is, not kind of like LinkedIn, theater, real people, regular contact, and quite frankly, most of you are going to get your next job from someone you already know. I certainly have. So tend that garden now before you need it. Send the email, make the introduction, show up to the thing on the Tuesday night when you're incredibly tired. The people in this graduating class will be some of the most important professional assets that you will have. So are your professors, so treat them accordingly. Number 3, be the librarian. I've said this already. I'm going to say it again because it matters so much more than a lot of other things. Save the data, cite the studies, document what you saw, teach the cohort behind you what was and is true. The institutions that used to do this for you all will not do it in the same way ever again. That work does not disappear, it just lands on you. Number 4, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, take care of yourselves. I mean this not as a bromide, but as a strategy. Burnout serves no one. Not you, not the work, not the communities you came into this field to serve. Uncertainty is exhausting, and exhausted people make bad decisions. I have experienced extreme burnout to the point where I had to take medical leave from a job. I would not wish that on any of you. So take care of yourselves and keep an eye out for one another too. So the most strategic thing I think that you could be doing this year is sleep, eat, call your parents, see your friends, leave your apartment, do the things that have nothing to do with the work, protect a life outside of this profession. The profession needs you rested, not heroic. And one more thing on this. What sustains me in this work are the small moments. Sitting with women in displacement sites, talking through what their communities actually need. Then designing the strategy to help make that real. When I follow up later, the response is really thank you. Because humanitarian aid, it's not handouts. Rather, what I get in terms of feedback, for example, is my daughter's in school now, and she just got top marks on her exam. Those are really the moments to cherish. Now, one more thing. Stay in coalition, stick together. Because every one of the 4 anchors I just gave you is something you can do for yourself. And there's one thing in this work that none of you can do alone. Stay in a coalition. The principled approach to this work, the one I talked about a bit earlier, the one that is really under pressure right now in ways it's never been, only holds when we hold it together. One organization breaking ranks at a checkpoint in a contract clause in a meeting can move the line for everyone. The reverse is also true. Holding the line together is how we keep the work principled. You are stronger together than apart. Find common ground. Find the people you can stand with across organizations, across sectors, across the politics that try to divide us, and stand with them. Going alone in this field is not just inefficient, it can cause real harm to the people that we're trying to serve. And the one assignment in this speech that you cannot do as an individual, so do it together. Now in closing, let me close where I started. You are, again, not graduating into the field you signed up for. You are graduating into the field that needs you the most. The people who built this profession built it for a world that is coming apart. The people who will build what replaces it are sitting in this room. That is not a metaphor, again, that's the math. I want to go back to one of the quotes that Dean Smith said, which very much resonates. Take care of the youth, and they will take care of you. Now, the young people you will encounter in this work at home, in the field, in the cohort behind you, are watching what you do with what you carry. Take care of them. Teach them what you've learned here. They will, in time, take care of you. To the families in the room, thank you for raising and supporting these incredible people. The world is going to be measurably better because they sat in these classrooms for 2+ years. Now, to the class of 2026, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the work, and I will be your biggest cheerleader. Congratulations again. Now go.
Thank you, Katie. Each year, the graduating class selects one of their classmates to deliver an address on their behalf. This year's class has chosen Miss Nyetta Bryant to deliver that address. Nyetta is a graduate student from West Orange, New Jersey. She specialized in negotiations and foreign policy. During her time here, she was the president of the Graduate Diplomacy Council, vice president of Sigma Iota Rho, which is the International Relations Honor Society, secretary of the United Nations Association Seton Hall chapter, and a member of the National Security Fellowship. So it is my privilege to present to you the voice of our graduating class, Nyetta Bryant.
Good evening, esteemed faculty, family, friends, and fellow graduates. When I found out that I would be giving the student commencement speech, I was perplexed. How could I, a self-proclaimed wallflower, be the voice of the students? What could I possibly say to my fellow graduates that can celebrate everything we accomplished here? And then it hit me. I could share a secret I've been holding on to for the past 2 years, a secret I can't hold on to any longer. And that secret is that I admire each and every single one of you. I truly do. I've seen how you showed up to class, ready to learn, ready to debate, ready to discuss issues that most people avoid altogether. I've seen your passion for the world, the way your eyes light up as you dive so deeply into a topic that the most any of us can do is just smile and nod. I admire those who have served our country. I admire those that have traveled far from home from different countries to study here. I admire those that practically lived in the quid, studying, writing papers, stressing over deadlines, and probably just yapping away, something I'm very guilty of. I admire those that took on leadership positions while balancing jobs, internships, fellowships, families, and somehow still managed to show up. And for those of you that always arrive to events in the most pristine business attire, please let me know who your dry cleaners are after this. Thank you. But beyond all of that, what I admire the most is your light. There's a Chinese proverb that was quoted by Eleanor Roosevelt that says, "It's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness." And when I look at all of you, I see people that chose to light that candle. People who chose compassion over cruelty. People who chose service over apathy. People who believe that diplomacy matters, that humanity matters. Even in a world that feels divided, difficult, scary, there is still room for hope. I could stand here and say the cliche, you are the future and the future is in your hands. No offense to anyone that just said that. But you guys already know that. That's why you're here. That's why you stayed up late writing papers, preparing presentations, answering discussion posts at the very last possible second, and surviving group projects. You came here because you wanted to make the world a better place. But what I want to remind you today is the world is already a better place because your light is in it. You're so much more than a LinkedIn post, a resume, or a GPA. You're a beacon of hope, a lighthouse along a dark, rocky shore. You are not Icarus flying too close to the sun. You are the sun. You are the legacy of this incredible school, and the reason why your family is smiling so hard tonight that their cheeks are probably hurting. In other words, you're a big deal, and you need to act like it, period. Since the beginning of our studies here, we have been taught the importance of people-to-people connections in diplomacy. And I think that's what makes this school so special. Sure, we studied international relations and policies and had to know the difference between neoliberalism and liberalism. But more importantly, we learned how to connect with one another. We learned to listen. We learned temperance and humility. We learned to lead by our love. And in today's world, that's what matters more than anything. Last year's student commencement speaker said that he was inspired by his peers, and I couldn't agree more. Because truthfully, I don't like public speaking. I could barely raise my hand up in class for participation credit, much less stand in front of an audience. But sharing my secret with all of you today feels easy because you inspire me. And I know I'm not the first person you've inspired, and I definitely won't be the last. So wherever life takes you after tonight, please don't forget your light. The world will try to convince you to be smaller, complacent, to be cold and doubtful, but don't let it. Continue to shine brightly. Continue to be passionate. Continue to use your voice because your voice carries power. And I'd like to thank our faculty for helping us grow, for never letting our light burn out. You challenged us, encouraged us, guided us, and answered our very last-minute email, sometimes at 11 o'clock at night. Another thing I'm very guilty of. Thank you for believing in us, even when we doubted ourselves. And thank you to our families, friends, and loved ones who supported us through every success, every stressful semester, and every single breakdown. Shout out to you guys. And I'd like to give a personal thank you to my mom, my grandma, and my friends. So much of me is made from what I learned from you. I love you. And yes, that is from Wicked, because some things are too good not to quote. And finally, to my classmates, from your secret or not so secret admirer anymore, I once again remind you to not lose your light. Hazards at Forward, Pirates, and once again, congratulations to the class of 2026. Thank you.
I have to top that. I have to follow that. Thank you, Diana. That was wonderful. And, anytime we can quote Wicked, that's definitely 10 points to Gryffindor. So, we'll now come to the business at hand. That is the conferral of degrees. So I invite Dean Smith to present the graduates to Father Brian Musas, who will confer the degrees. Will all degree candidates please rise?
Dr. Muthas, on behalf of Seton Hall University, I certify that the candidates whose names are hereby submitted have satisfied all requirements to participate in this ceremony. I ask those who have completed all degree requirements be hereby granted their degrees.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of Seton Hall University, for those who have completed all their degree requirements, I hereby confer on them the degrees for which they have been recommended by their dean, with all the rights, privileges, and obligations thereunto appertaining. In my name and in the name of the Board of Regents, may I offer you our sincere congratulations.
Okay, so now I'm supposed to tell you to please remain standing, but y'all are really smart, so you didn't need me to do that. As a symbol of your graduation, please move your tassels from right to left on your caps. Congratulations, graduates. You can now be seated. What we will do next is call the graduates up to the stage, and the deans and faculty will place the teal garment, the hood, around your neck. And in so doing, we're vesting you with the colors of Seton Hall University. So I invite Dr. Ruby, Dr. Balmaceda, Dr. Goldfrank, Dr. Wong, Dr. Huddleston to take your places, as well as Dean Smith, Dr. Cuccia, and Professor Strifolino to congratulate our new graduates.
She's going to hand you. Oh, you're going to hand me the card? Yes. You're going to give it to me because I have to keep it in her
After I say it,
Yes. At 5 to 7, just in case.
in case you have to leave, they'll just give me the cards directly. Unless you want to read half the names. Do you want to read half the names?
What would be the advantage? I'm happy to do it.
Please rise, the first row here, and come this way with your cards in hand. Nikki Schultz. Colin Smith. Sarah DiMacino. Nyada Bryant. Kayla Ondie McIntyre. Mama Sumaho. Obidi Anamdi. Ella Carver. Marie Shea Burke. Mary Shea Burke. Thank you. Sophia Grace Blackwood. Marta Savruk. Zina Al-Jabri. Anita Pamela Jala.
Oh my God.
Marianne Jaloff. Clark Walker. Frances Lucila Hernandez.
Oh my God. Where's the baby?
Pause for babies.
It's coming.
Zuleha Chite. Ashley Ayana Robinson. Jordan Clark Sherman. Zachary Richard Cooney. Congrats. Andrew Mark Norberg. Alexander Elgart.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, have fun.
Oh!
God.
Safwan Ali.
Thank you so much. Keen. It's Keen Corbird.
Kian Clorbird.
And last but not least,
El Haj Abdulwahab Arja.
Great job with the names.
So this is obviously our important commercial break. Okay. Please join me in one round of applause in congratulating these graduates. Each of you have so much to offer the world, and we look to you to be catalysts of change in a world that desperately needs it. So as you go forth tonight, I ask that you remember one thing. Both Dr. Ruby and myself are largely in the business of storytelling, and the story that we tell is our story of a school that we have worked hard to build. And you are an important part of that story. So we look forward to celebrating each of your accomplishments in the coming days, and we hope that you will share updates with us as we build this story together and tell this story anew. So thank you. And now you can have a seat. So we have 19 more pages of remarks. I'm kidding. Yeah. So thanks to all of you, friends, family, graduates, for celebrating with us tonight. Graduates, it's important that you leave your regalia, the designated boxes before you leave, and pick up your commemorative champagne flute in the event lounge next door. So at this time, I would like you to stand for the singing of the Seton Hall University alma mater. Lyrics and music for the alma mater are located on the back of your program. And I would like to invite Miss Andromeda Tong to the stage to lead us. When we're done with the singing of the alma mater, the dais party will recess. And then we'd like you to, you're welcome to join us in the event lounge next door for refreshments. Thank you.
To alma mater, I'll be loyal, keep her name in purest light, never waver from her precepts, guard her foster all your dreams. Her name is Seton Hall. Her name is Seton Hall. When on life's hard stones you stumble, pray to God to be your guide. Think of Seton Hall, your mother, then forge on in steady stride. Oh, sing her praise to highest skies, and be faithful in her eyes, for she will foster all your dreams.